sign language interpretation. We start off at this news bulletin with President Lauryn Masika has passed out over 9,000 reserve force recruits at the Korea-Uganda military training school in Nakaseke district. Museveni lauded the institution for recruiting educated people, noting that modern warfare requires a lot of education.
While presiding over the pass-out of 9,680 reserve force recruits, President Lauryn Masika advised the youthful soldiers to be patriotic, ideologically clear, focused and disciplined.
Ideology, the way we think, the way we believe. Our ideology is patriotism. Love Uganda. Uganda is more important than your tribe, is more important than your religious group. So, ideology number one, patriotism. Love Uganda. Number two, love Africa. Because you need Africa.
The message was re-echoed by the Army top brass and the Line Ministry.
As we progressed, we have continued up to today, where we have covered 47 weeks, and from the demonstrations, it has proved that these trainees have been able to train, to be equipped, and they are able to go and serve the UPDF.
Remember what the commandant has told you. Respect those that have created the environment you are enjoying now, so that they can mentor you very well as good soldiers of this country. Remember the core values of the UPDF. You have severally been reminded of these. I don't need to repeat them.
Unlike in the past, the new LDU recruits are fairly educated. Of the 9,680 graduates, 5 have master's degrees, 700 have bachelor's degrees, and the least number of 37 have primary school leaving certificates. This development excited the Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, who noted that modern warfare requires a lot of education.
5 of them here have got master's degrees. And I think one of them has got masters in medicine or something like that. And then 700 have got university degrees. 700. This level of education, it is easy to learn, because modern warfare has got a lot of science. And educated people learn very easily.
President Lauryn Masika also reassured the public that Uganda is secure. His remarks on the state of security follows the recent ADF terror attack in Kasese and the Al-Shabaab attack on the UPDF in Somalia.
So nobody should get worried about the security of the country. Anybody who disturbs us will pay a very big price.
Korea-Uganda Military Training School in Nakaseke district mainly trains students from Uganda People's Defense Forces, Uganda Police and the Prison Service. The institution falls under the Joint Service Political Commissariat Department of the Uganda People's Defense Forces. Dennis Igoa for UBC News.
Thank you, Dennis Igoa. Now, government is maintaining the stance against exportation of raw timber to outside countries. The move is aimed at reducing importation of wood products and promotion of value-added timber. Prime Minister Robin Anabanja was launching a roadmap between the European Union and government of Uganda seeking to preserve and protect Uganda's forest cover.
In this forest roadmap, government of Uganda seeks to increase the area of protected restored and sustainably managed forests. In doing so, reduction of the annual rate of deforestation of natural resources will be at 20,000 hectares per year.
The partnership is earmarked, like aligned to Vision 2030, that most of the targets that we've set by the year 2030. And this will give the momentum to achieve the objectives that we've set in the MOU, and also use the same as a facilitation to mobilize resources and attract investment.
This is being done with support from the European Union. A 40 million euros funding has been earmarked for the same.
So we are today initiating a new chapter filled with exciting prospects, and we are really glad of the strong partnership that is uniting us in this critical sector.
Both the Prime Minister, Robin Banja, and Minister of State for Environment, Beatrice Annual, agree that the intervention is timely.
It will go a long way also to restore food security, leave alone when we engage our people in ecotourism and other undertakings.
And I believe that this will help us to address the drivers of forest loss and degradation through sustainable management and sustainable utilization of these natural resources.
To concretize this initiative, export of raw timber will have to stop, something the Prime Minister has emphasized.
This funding is timely and will help us pursue our ambition to add value to our forest resources through industrialization in order to achieve our export promotion and import substitution goals.
In doing so, forest cover protection in Uganda will be guaranteed, including Bugoma Forest Reserve, which is currently under threat.
The president already wrote to me and he said alienation and degradation of Bugoma Central Forest Reserve. I have got a letter from Honorable Beatrice Annual crying about the destruction of part of Bugoma Central Forest Reserve in Chikube district. If this was part of Bugoma Forest, intervene and save it. So we are going in and we are going to save that forest.
In working together, it is projected that Uganda will achieve the targeted aspirations in protecting the country's forest cover. Henry Okrut, UBC.
Prime Minister Robin Banja has met the special envoy of the President of the Republic of Korea, Jun Sung-min, and have discussed a wide range of bilateral issues at the office of the Prime Minister in Kampala.
The Prime Minister, Right Honorable Robin Banja, praised the cordial relations that have existed between Uganda and the Republic of South Korea for the last 60 years and continue to develop due to the existing mutual cooperation. She said that the Republic of South Korea has been instrumental in supporting Uganda in the sectors of health, education, and human capital development.
Just recently, during our fight against COVID-19, the government of South Korea supported us with US dollars 6,575, which allowed us to equip our health workers with essential items like testing kits, personal protective equipment, and other medical items. During the Global Refugee Forum in Geneva, December 2019, South Korea pledged to provide $5 million to support the comprehensive refugee response in Uganda for 3 years. This year, $1,666.667 was received out of that pledge and will be used to strengthen the health care, improve hygiene and provision of water and sanitation services for the refugee and the host communities.
Nabanja appealed to the presidential special envoy to support the promotion of partnerships with the Korean private sector by encouraging investors to come and invest in Uganda. She said that the investment environment is conducive in the country and the government is ready to avail land and other subsidies.
We request that you entice your private player sector to come and invest here. We shall provide them with free land and many other amenities. They can invest in a number of sectors. Agriculture. You know, we have Uganda as the best climate in the world. Yes. Uganda receives rains twice in a year. You can even have those partners who can come here and invest in agriculture for production and then export.
On his part, the special envoy of the President of the Republic of Korea, Jang Sang-min, assured the Prime Minister of the continued support to Uganda and is optimistic that Uganda's technology industry will develop. Jang said that Uganda has the potential to become an investment hub for Africa and hailed the President, His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, for his leadership.
Korea has been attracted to Africa through Uganda. And I believe that the reason why Korea for so long has been interested in developing its economic cooperation with Uganda, the reason why Korea continues to have interest in agriculture in various areas in Uganda is because of God's grace.
In a related development, the Prime Minister, Right Honorable Robin Nabanja, also met the first Deputy Speaker of the National Assembly of Zambia, Right Honorable Malungo Chisangano, who was accompanied by the Deputy Chief Whip, Honorable Princess Kasune, and a delegation from her office in Kampala.
So I appreciate the leadership of both the Parliament of Uganda under the leadership of our Speaker and the National Assembly of Zambia for coordinating this list, which is aimed at strengthening the ties between the two sister countries, that is both parliaments. And of course I know you bring value and experience from this exchange list. My cardinal role is to lead government business in the House, and I am responsible for coordination and implementation of all government policies and programs across ministries, departments, and other public institutions. So I coordinate government business.
The first Deputy Speaker of the National Assembly of Zambia, Right Honorable Malungo Chisangano, lauded the government of Uganda for the good relationship and Pan-Africanism spirit promoted by the President of Uganda. Chisangano said that they are here to benchmark on democracy and how government transacts business.
So we thought we should come and learn how it is done here so that we become efficient, and also to hear how the different structures, just like you mentioned, the leader of government business, the chief whip, the deputy chief whip, the party whips, how they are helping the speaker just to maintain order in the house.
The Prime Minister lauded the people of Zambia for hosting Uganda's first Prime Minister, the late Dr. Apollo Milton Obote, who later on became the President of Uganda. Doreen Nasasira reporting for UBC News.
The First Lady and Minister for Education and Sports, Janet Museveni, has expressed a need to start a program in Karamoja to equip children who were taken back after being rehabilitated from children's homes. While officiating at the handover ceremony of Warm Children's Hearts, a China-Africa joint action, Janet Museveni condemned the vice of trafficking that has led to many children from Karamoja ending up on the streets.
Masulita Children's Home is one of the registered and approved children's home in Uganda that started as a home of vulnerable and orphaned children. The home, that was started in 1985 by Uganda Women's efforts to save orphans, USO, currently has 102 children, with 84 of these being got from streets and coming from Karamoja. Most of these children end up on streets because of human trafficking. The First Lady, Janet Museveni, says people who bring those children on streets deny them the opportunity to grow up with their parents.
Particularly significant because it has discovered that many of these children end up on the streets as victims of unscrupulous individuals engaged in human trafficking. I condemn the actions of those who establish these syndicates, which network traffickers in the Karamoja region. These heartless people abduct children from their families and exploit them as beggars on the streets of Kampala, and they take away what these children beg from people. They take it away for themselves, which is really terrible.
She called upon cultural, religious and opinion leaders to sensitize parents the importance of health, family relationships and significance of positive parenting.
But also, even those who have had their time here, when they go back to Karamoja, I believe we need to have a program in Karamoja where they can go to and be equipped to manage their own lives.
A team of Chinese medical personnel are in this home to host Warm Children's Hearts, a China-Africa joint action which aims at caring for the health of orphaned children.
The team had already done checkups for most of children in the morning, and I just talked to the doctors. Most of the kids are taken good care of, in good health, and only a few of them have some small problems and may need further checks. And they are most welcome to the Nakuru China-Uganda Friendship Hospital for further checks and treatment.
Available statistics from demographic survey indicates that 4.8 million children are in care of people who are known to their biological parents, with 8,875 children staying in approved children's homes.
It's encouraged when the parents are not there, especially when we cannot trace, we still encourage that if people have space in their homes, it is very important that they adopt them. These children grow up in a home. It is very, very important than leaving them in the homes.
Masulita Children's Home is considered as a transit center for these children for 4 months, and most children have benefited from vocational training. However, there are no programs in their districts where they are taken after rehabilitation for practicing these skills.
In bricklaying, construction, vocational training, tailoring, and I think last month we had repairs of cars, learning how to repair cars. The challenge we still have is that when we take them back to Karamoja, because I think 85 of them are from Karamoja, many of them escape back to the street, meaning that we need a long-term strategy on how we are going to continuously address this issue.
The wife to the ambassador of Chinese also donated school bags with scholastic materials like books, pencils and pens to those children. I'm Nafka Farida and Dan Lugemwa in Masulita.
Parliament has finalized the week-long consideration of enacting bills to enhance Islamic banking in Uganda. The Thursday afternoon session witnessed passing of the Income Tax Amendment No. 2 Bill 2023, which provides for the equivalent tax treatment of Islamic financial businesses. The Minister of State for Finance and General Duties, Henry Musasizi, told the House that President Yoweri Museveni was at the helm of ensuring that Islamic banking is given a priority and thus the need for amendment in the laws. The MPs also passed the Foreign Exchange Amendment Bill 2023 to increase the capital investment in the Forex Bureau business from 15 million to 200 million shillings.
The controversy over what would arise as unjust and exploitative gains made in trade or business under Islamic law took some time to be settled as Parliament passes the Income Tax Amendment No. 2 Bill 2023 to provide for equivalent tax treatment of Islamic financial business.
So let's agree, let the other side agree with the Attorney General. We come with a harmonized position.
The MPs, subscribing to the Muslim fraternity, locked horns with the Attorney General Chirawa Chiwanuka over justification of taxing returns on investment, which the members had wished to be interchanged to mark up.
Wherever the word interest appears in this committee, in this bill, we replace it with markup.
Now, when I'm paying back, let me say 100 million, I'm supposed to pay back 100 million. The only difference can be is in transaction fees that are involved, which we call markups.
That even with Islamic banking, I will give you 100 million and I expect back 110 million at the end of the day, which is supposed to take care of the management fees and all the other costs to manage the what? To manage that portfolio. It doesn't necessarily mean that is a profit or interest, but it is a cost that is built up on it. So if you say markup, it is not a return on that investment. It's not necessarily.
After a consensus, the bill to amend the cap 340 of the income tax was considered, and the Minister of State for Finance under General Duties Henry Musasizi told the House that President Yoweri Museveni was among the top crusaders for the introduction of Islamic banking and thus requesting for the laws in place.
The interpretation of the learned Attorney General is that our concerns are well catered for under KKA, which deals with Islamic financial businesses that have been defined.
Thank you. You mean you've just seen?
Government, led by His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, he is the man behind all of this we do, and is the one who has been pushing us to regularize Islamic banking.
Parliament also passed the Foreign Exchange Amendment Bill 2023, which among others increases the capital required for starting up a forex bureau from 50 million to 200 million shillings.
We shouldn't try to bring it low, yet our locals, even if they're operating, their businesses can be used for money laundering. And 200 million, in our opinion, as a committee, we think it is not so big, given the amounts that they use. Because, the difference here is we're talking about forex bureaus and remittance of money or money transfers to other countries.
Daniel Mugoya, Gloria Gutabinji, UBC News.
The Uganda Police is set to establish a special peace support training center to improve on the quality of officers deployed in the special peacekeeping missions. While launching our report on the measurement of women opportunities in peacekeeping operations, the Deputy Inspector General of Police, Major General Godfrey Tumusime Katsigazi, committed on improving infrastructure to improve on the number of women officers deployed in these special missions.
The percentage of Uganda Police female officers deployed on special peacekeeping missions stands at 28 of the total deployments in different operations.
The needs, the gaps, the causes of the gaps, and the mitigating measures were identified within this report. Very sure that the recommendations and the remedies therein will be implemented to achieve the desired end state.
The report on the measurement of women participation in peacekeeping operations by Makerere University and LC Initiative Fund highlight impediments to how to improve on the level of inclusivity.
We also looked at the deployment selection. Deployment criteria has to do with the criteria used by UN. Deployment selection has to do with us. How do we select them? And what is the process that we go through? And then we looked at household constraints. And I say this and then pause a little bit because you'll realize as I carry on that household constraints actually were the highest barriers to women's engagement in peace support operations.
We have new and emerging issues every day, as we all saw during the COVID era, where there were serious security issues facing different countries across the world. And these issues continue to undermine women's participation in peace building.
The bias and stereotypes associated on recruitment of women in security forces warrant maximum sensitization for more participation.
Of the 10 issue areas, we had 5 areas with what we call high significance barriers. And this means that these really affect women. And these included the eligible pool, deployment criteria, deployment selection, household constraints, and the gender roles.
Uganda Police Force commits to establish Peace Support Training Center to enhance inclusivity and professionalism while deploying to special peacekeeping missions.
Infrastructure and preparatory training by the PSO. Here, of course, the request was that we need to put up a Peace Support Operation Center. That request is correct, and we are already in the process of formally establishing one, although we have one.
The rate of vulnerability during insurgencies and instabilities demands special attention of female officers, and police is targeting to increase on their participation.
And realized that there are more women refugees, there are more children refugees, and the men are not able to handle such a situation. So it is critical that therefore you employ ladies to address the fundamentals of that peace operation.
The 778 million shillings one-year assessment was made by Makerere University Rotary Peacekeeping Center, bankrolled by the LC Initiative Fund.
Done.
The Office of the Director of Public Prosecution has signed a Memorandum of Understanding with the Attorney General's Alliance Africa aimed at training prosecutors on how to handle cybercrime cases. The ceremony for signing the Memorandum of Understanding between the Director of Public Prosecution and the Attorney General's Alliance Africa took place in Kampala.
Cybercrime is a criminal activity that either targets or uses a computer-connected device. At least every crime committed nowadays involves some degree of technology, complicating the job of prosecutors in bringing to book sophisticated criminals. It's against this background that the Director of Public Prosecution's Office has signed a Memorandum of Understanding with the Attorney General's Alliance Africa AGA, aimed at training prosecutors on how to handle cases related to cybercrime.
We've been having challenges of lack of knowledge in combating cybercrime, in conducting investigations, in prosecuting such cases. So we look forward to learning more in this training. That's why officers have been brought together from different regions, different departments, different stations. And with time, we hope that every prosecutor will be able to be at the same pace. Everyone will be able to utilize technology to do the work better, build stronger cases, investigate better, get good evidence, and achieve more convictions.
In the need to curb and to address cybercrime in Uganda, laws have been put in place, among others, the 1950 Penal Code Act, 1996 Police Act, and the recent Computer Misuse Amendment Act of 2022.
It is an area that we really need more capacity, more knowledge, and more support, technical support, deeper to discuss offenses in detail, ingredients, what you need to prove the offenses in that act, how to get the evidence, how to track the suspects, and how to build a good case. Otherwise, the law alone does not give you all that. You need to break it down and build capacity in investigating.
At times, cybercrime tends to be complex since those involved use sophisticated technology in committing these crimes. Marcus Green is sure that with this training, prosecutors at least will manage to handle cases related to cybercrime.
That's why it's extremely important for us as prosecutors, judges, investigators to make sure that not only the laws are up to date, but that we're up to date, that we understand the training, how it works, and so that we can meet these bad actors where they are, so that we can arrest these issues and make sure that we're making the general public safe, right? So that we're taking the good that technology brings and making sure that we're safeguarding it so that it cannot be used for harm.
The training on cybercrime to prosecutors will run for 2 days in Kampala.
Transformation and attainment of Uganda's development goals requires a formidable public service ready to serve with ethics, diligence, and above all, patriotic to the goals and aspirations of Uganda. The Minister for Public Service, Honorable Lauryn Masika, says his ministry faces an uphill task to develop the Uganda Public Service Capacity Development Framework to align it with the National Development Framework. Lauryn Masika was officiating at the knowledge-sharing event and closing of the support to the Development of Human Resources project.
We want a civil servant who is responsive, who is ethical, who is diligent, a civil servant who is...
Uganda Public Service has a significant role to play in translating into reality the government's vision of a transformed Ugandan society from a peasant to a modern and prosperous country within 30 years. The Uganda Public Service is crucial for successful implementation and delivery of the Vision 2040 and NDP3 programs and outcomes, respectively. According to the Minister for Public Service, Honorable Wilson Mululi Mukasa, Uganda's public service needs to be retooled to measure up to the development vision.
Therefore, we must have a fit-for-purpose public service infrastructure and architecture with the civil servant at the center of our national development. In this respect, a competent, ethical, and accountable, result-oriented, formidable, selfless, motivated, innovative, and agile public service is desirable.
Mululi Mukasa says that the public service sector is pivotal to a variety of functions such as policy, regulation, planning, resourcing, policy implementation, which contributes to the socio-economic development and transformation, but are still trapped within the sector reforms.
These interventions have been actually integrated into a costed, comprehensive capacity building plan and capacity building framework. Now, the two documents have been launched and disseminated to the various stakeholders. It is therefore incumbent on us all to appreciate the role the Uganda Public Service is in contributing to the national vision.
The Permanent Secretary, Minister of ICT, Dr. Amina Zawede, is of the view that the Minister of Public Service should set up digital competence condition as a requirement for entry into public service.
We want to assess the digital competence of all human resource. We have embarked on this process so that when we are rolling out these systems, we know where to start from, what entry levels we shall have in future for us to be able to have all human resource in government at a certain level of digital competence. We request that, it will be a requirement for entry into the ministry.
This support to the Development of Human Resources project is supported by the Belgian people through the Belgian Development Arm. Enabel, began in 2014 to 27th July 2023, has implemented improved service delivery of Ugandan institutes and organizations of education, environment, and health sectors through capacity building activities.
Together and within the context of the National Development Plan number 3, we responded to the capacity needs that were identified at the start of the project. The main goal was to improve service delivery through improved organizational performance, and you've demonstrated today that this goal has been achieved.
The Permanent Secretary, Public Service, Catherine Bitalakwate Musingwire, has prophesied that Uganda will not attain her Development Vision 2040 if the human resource do not adjust to the requirements of the development targets.
Relating to the gaps in terms of knowledge, skills, and attitudes or competencies of the public service personnel. Notably, that they need to respond swiftly to the increasing demands for greater accountability, responsiveness, innovation, efficiency, and effectiveness.
Sudat Kaye and Douglas Setumba, UBC News.
Rotary District 9213 has launched the groundbreaking Boy-Child Uplifting Program in Uganda, aiming to address the challenges faced by boys and young men. Led by the visionary Jennifer Mirembe Senswa, the program aims at empowering and supporting boys, providing personal and educational growth opportunities.
Challenging gender norms and stereotypes, the initiative seeks to create an inclusive society that nurtures individual potential.
The men in that category will be supported in skilling, the ones who absolutely have no clue of what they can do with their hands to earn a living. Category 2 will be to find and understand the men who have a bit of skill in construction, in cookery, in welding, in many other activities that can earn them a living.
It emphasizes the importance of emotional support and mental health, offering safe spaces for boys to express vulnerability.
That we've lost many of these boys to prison because of crime rate is really high in the boy child. We've lost them to the different rehabilitation centers because of the drug abuse. That is where they are finding solace and comfort. We would like to fetch out those particular young men in the country. How is Rotary going to do that? Rotary at the moment has over 115 Rotary clubs under District 9213. And in those clubs, we will implement and look for these young men and boys in our communities where we serve.
The program also aims at bridging the gender gap in academic achievement, focusing on improving reading and language-related skills.
The boys in the category of those who are stepped out of school for many reasons, they have lost their loved ones, their parents have gone to be with the Lord, their guardians have also passed on, and for many reasons, including peer pressure, they're out of school. We will be focusing on those boys in the communities that Rotary serves in Uganda.
District Governor Edward Kakembo Nsoboga highlighted the need for mindset change and positive alternatives, steering boys away from negative activities. Over the next 5 years, the program plans to impact the lives of 2.3 million boys with an initial focus on reaching 650,000 boys aged 10 to 17. The official launch is set for July 1st at Old Kampala Primary School. Sudat Kaye, UBC News.
Uganda ne Uganda waraji batusako manrane chikona tena tekobo seko season yakuna savu July kuma Mount Papa's Hall usasure kwa MTN mobile money usasura gumu chitundu MTN usasure nega komitano niga stemu kagatano stamu enda munana hasha kwa MTN ufune tiketi yokati wabula kumulyango usasure mitwale ebiri yepe mitwale 5 ate meza ya milioni 2 munana July Golden Hotel mkono mwenda July Nikan Resort Terweza 15 July France Africa Jinja Abiri July Maria Flemasaka Abiri Mwenda July Afro Club Sangati ate yoyo noku yingi na mutualo wafujinidwa musente Talent Africa Victoria University Suzu Property Consultants Pepsi Max Uganda Waraji ne
MTN Do you need data collection services, data analysis and reporting, monitoring and evaluation systems? Then contact Mold Technologies, a professional research firm that has provided many organizations with timely research solutions for over 15 years. For more information, visit www.mt.co.ug or call us on 0704 913 399 or 0782 602 963. Visit our office in Kampala at Sayuni Complex in Tinda. Mood Technologies, your professional research firm.
This is the University of Africa. On the streets, you get your real education. Here, everybody has a degree of something. But the most important qualification is imagination. His reason is to be the GOAT. The reason to imagine is to take the beat and make it lit. So no matter what your situation, just use your imagination.
At Timex Nutrition Center, we advise you on the right foods to eat, exercise profile to adopt, and lifestyle strategies which are compatible to your blood group and genotype. This empowers your body to prevent and treat many diseases like diabetes, blood pressure, arthritis, ulcers, obesity, and many others. For more information, find us at our head office in Kampala on Nassa Road, Conrad Plaza, 2nd floor, or call 0758 819 952 or 0778 288 361. We also have other branches in Bara and Jinja.
And in talking news, MTN has improved on their data voice bundles. You can now call across all networks for the same price. We've talked to several eyewitnesses on the ground, and this is what one of them had to say.
Amos, did you hear about the MTN daily voice bundles?
So, to join many more other Ugandans enjoying these MTN daily voice bundles, dial *100 *21# or use the My MTN app to start enjoying. Stay tuned for more offers from MTN.
From that break, we're glad that you're still with us. Now with more news, government has introduced a micro-scale irrigation mitigation program aimed at curbing the challenges of climate change. Now leaders at district levels in the country have embarked on exchange visits to pilot districts to learn and benchmark with the best practices. The micro-scale irrigation program will also encourage farmers to support the protection of the environment, especially by planting indigenous trees.
Government has introduced a micro-scale irrigation mitigation program in order to curb climate change effects. This program, introduced through the Ministry of Agriculture, Animal Husbandry and Fisheries, is also vital to the protection of the environment, especially by farmers planting indigenous trees. For farmers to learn more on this program, government trained political and technical leaders across the country.
A rock, a stone. So many times people have also failed, made mistakes, but if we can organize, train, have models like this one, so that people don't only learn theories but see all these processes in practice, also train people from schools so that these young people gain the interest right from their childhood. Why do we wait until they have failed to go back to land? Instead of now utilizing the land, all these resources right from childhood, let's work with the families, work with the parents, and work with the schools so that we attack our community organization at all levels, and we will be a first world, if at least second world, if we can't reach that level. we are.
Following this, the Kagadi local district leaders and the technical staff have visited the African Development Model Farm in Uganda to learn more on this government initiative.
And I'm happy that this model farmer we have visited, we have had a lecture from the senior agriculture officer of the district, and he has taken us through all how they have been successful. I'm very grateful that the lessons we have learned from this tour, we are going successfully to implement the similar project, and we shall be among the successful districts in Uganda in this phase 2.
It's a wonderful scheme, and one thing we have learned is how practically Uganda has been implementing and doing it successfully. We have picked a few lessons that they have done, and we have also practically seen the scheme and the demonstration projects that have been installed, and it's about ensuring that what we have allocated funds for is implemented according to the plan or according to the guidelines.
The team from Kagadi, led by the Chief Administrative Officer and the LC5 chairperson at African Development Model Farm in Uganda, were taken around to various projects by its director, Rotary, and visited several projects, including the micro-scale irrigation project. The director, African Development Model Farm in Kagongo in Uganda Municipality, Rotary, commended government for the programs aimed at improving the sector and encouraged farmers always to involve in environmental friendly issues to control climate change.
Now, due to lack of mobility to access schools, Namayingo district is overwhelmed by the increased numbers of school dropouts among the differently abled children. Reports indicate that out of 1,328 differently abled children in the district, only 150 have access to school.
These are two teams of differently abled children showcasing their talents in handball. These represent the thousands of children given less attention because of their physical inability. With the adoption of the Namayingo District Development Program, the differently abled children have changed their mindset towards discovering their potentials and abilities while at school.
Blue? Red? Yes, the blue got 3 marks.
As she bid farewell to the district, the ambassador of Iceland to Uganda, Thodis Judadota, was showered with gifts and songs of praise to the Iceland government for scaling up education standards in fishing communities.
The time has come for us to amplify our efforts to break down the barriers that hinder progress and to uplift those whose voices have been silenced for far too long. Let us rise above our differences and come together as a united force, committed to creating a world where every individual, regardless of their background, their gender or circumstances, has the opportunity to thrive.
The education officer in charge of special needs in Namayingo district, Mayende Erisania, says the assistive devices have immensely helped learners with special needs.
So of this support, whereas the dropout rate of learners with special needs has greatly reduced because they are now retained in schools because of the support. And not only the support of giving them assistive technologies, we realize a big number of them have come because we're also giving support in sports. When we looked at where they're playing the posho balls or games around, they are now all interested and motivated to stay in schools.
District officials spoke kind of the Iceland government for helping the community in building a climate-resilient environment, where the district received equipment to facilitate the climate change agents.
But as government, we are very, very appreciative. Actually, when I came here, I told this Iceland group, and when I see the climate change action plan, actually you have really eased my work. Because when I saw them presenting it in council, I got excited. Because whatever we are planning to do as government, we are telling them move out, and there is no alternative.
Miserable education institution. We did not have wash facilities in our rural growth centers. You found physically challenged children who were out of school
because they didn't have the kind of support that we've just witnessed. But with your tireless effort, you've ensured that all this is obtained in the district.
And the careful support that you've given to children living with disability, something that exemplifies what is written in the Bible, leaving the 99 to go for the one sheep that is lost in the wilderness. We thank you so much for that.
Mary Namkose, UBC News.
Yellow Power Movement, led by their chairman, Lauryn Masika Kazimoto, a group mobilizing people from downtown to support NRM, have made sacrifices to donate more than 400 kilograms of beef to the needy communities in downtown of Chibuye, Ndeba and Katwe in Kampala. Take a look.
Over 400 kilograms of beef were donated to people living from ghettos of Ndeba, Chibuye, Katwe and surrounding areas as part of Eid al-Adha celebrations that lasts for 3 days. According to Lauryn Masika Kazimoto, chairman for Yellow Power Movement, this beef is a donation not to resell and appeal to the residents of Ndeba to continue supporting NRM. Residents of Ndeba also appeal to the government to continue supporting them because they face many challenges despite being NRM supporters. Chisembo Justice, spokesperson of Yellow Power, a group which has ensured that NRM stays strong in Ndeba, said that people living in ghettos of Ndeba are poor. That's why they donated meat in this period.
So what we did as Yellow Power, we left our homes to come and first serve. Today we are in Ndeba as Yellow Power Movement. Just like our motto is, today we've decided to leave our comfort homes and come in the ghetto of Ndeba so that we can serve the people down. As Yellow Power leadership, we've made sure that everyone is touched. We shall endeavor and continue to serve the people, just like our motto is,
Dear Airtel customer, we know that there are days when unexpected stays in hospital stand in the way of your family's welfare. That is why Hospital Center is here to give you up to 100,000 shillings every night you spend in hospital. Hospital Center also offers up to 4 million in funeral benefit. Dial star 185 star 7 star 6 hash to purchase Hospital Center on Airtel Money for as little as 1,000, 3,000 or 5,000 shillings a month. Your cover for the first 1 month is free. Hospital Center is underwritten by Prudential and powered by Turaco. Prudential and Turaco are regulated by the Insurance Regulatory Authority of Uganda. Airtel Money is regulated by the Bank of Uganda.
The land take for development of Tilenga, Kingfisher and East Africa crude oil pipeline projects in Uganda is approximately 6,900 acres with close to 10,000 project-affected persons. The compensation process involves an inclusive and participatory resettlement action plan study that provides for cash payment, physical resettlement and livelihood improvement packages for the affected persons. 90% of all the project-affected persons have been fully compensated. 200 replacement houses have been constructed and handed over. Communities are also engaged in vocational skills, agriculture, financial literacy programs, employment, and contracting opportunities to improve their livelihoods and grow community content. The Petroleum Authority of Uganda creating lasting value in Uganda's oil journey.
Welcome back from that break. Now into the business scene. Korea-Uganda has designed strategies aimed at extending financial inclusion to unbanked population, especially in the rural areas. During a media forum at Leshego head office in Kampala, the head of sales, Korea-Uganda, Lauryn Masika says this will address social, economic and developmental challenges youth, women and marginalized groups surface in access to formal financial services.
A recent fiscal finding from Uganda Protection Deposit Fund and Letseho Uganda shows that out of 40 million people, only 14 million have banking accounts. This means that there is a deficit of 28 million who do have bank accounts.
Some people would prefer even to keep money under their beds or actually in pots. People think money is secure when they can be able to look at it. Now look at the situation when somebody has to go and deposit his money in the bank. If he's not very literate or well educated, somebody would think even actually money can get lost or he might need to recover it. And the sophistication that comes sometimes with banks, opening accounts, the requirements, so sometimes people don't trust the system.
In his keynote address to the media on emerging opportunities in the financial space catering to the unbanked at Letseho head office in Kololo, Kampala, the head of sales Letseho Uganda, Lauryn Masika, articulates Letseho has intensified measures to extend financial inclusion to rural communities with target to unbanked youth and women, among others.
So, as a Letseho Uganda, we come in that space of the unbanked, and that's where we want to play most. For example, we are coming up with products that are related to instant loans on phones. Here, we are going to include everybody. We shall not need collateral. We shall be having what we call a credit scoring engine. You have a good character.
According to fiscal experts, people who do use mainstream financial services, including savings accounts, all conduct transactions in cash. When using alternative financial services like paid-day lending, are considered unbanked.
Unbanked groups, in fact, this is where the market is. For us at Letseho Uganda, that's where we actually go. That's the segment of people we want to improve lives. We go and teach them about how to use the banking services. But it's our role as stakeholders with government to take the government agenda of financial inclusion up to the people.
Economists argue that extending financial services to unbanked communities will create opportunities that will foster economic empowerment and growth, respectively. Sudat Kaye and Robert Whiter, UBC News.
And now into sports. Government commitment to develop sports has today witnessed a historic activity of allocation of sports equipment to all districts, municipalities, divisions and cities. Now this has coincided with the penultimate day of the National Council of Sports District Outreach that has been to Kabale, Mukono and to Masindi.
Uganda's State Minister for Sports Peter Gwang has flagged off an equipment offer to all districts, municipalities, divisions and cities of Uganda.
I am happy that it's the first of its kind that we are handing over equipment to them, and the challenge of course is the budget. Our wish would be that we should be able to hand as many equipment as possible to our districts for purposes of community sports.
This is part of a bigger plan by government to ensure grassroots sports development is emphasized, with football and netball considered first.
You've heard that about 6,000 are for football, then 200 for 2,000 for netball. Challenges which come here are issues of procurement. Because you can see my money might be much, then the quantity of the items are few. But when it goes through a normal procurement processes, what comes in? There's a question of profit. There's a question of tax which you've just raised. So these are some of the things which reduce on the number of items which get delivered. But I want to call upon Parliament to help with increasing the budget, because the demands of balls is immense, and even those my colleagues normally ask me for many of these community balls. But my challenge is my hands are tied. As of now, that's according to what we could afford. But our plan is to have volleyball and have also other equipment being delivered.
The initial disbursement is of 30 footballs and 15 netballs to 136 districts and 31 municipalities, while 25 divisions and 11 cities have each got 30 footballs and 14 netballs.
These balls are actually meant for community sports development. You know, community sports development means clubs, club development. We have clubs, football clubs at the districts, we have netball clubs at the districts. This initiative is entirely meant for clubs at the district level. And it's a very good opportunity that the ministry and the government is coming up to ensure that there is development of sports at the grassroots, an area that has been negated for some time.
Meanwhile, the National Council of Sports District Outreach Program has continued, with stops in Mukono, Masindi and Kabale, where lack of facilities is a common issue. The outreach also highlights relevance of district sports councils addressing the funds gap and education about the incoming sports law.
My main observation in this region is that one of the things that are seriously lacking are sports facilities, and then there is a question of insufficiency of land. To most of the people who have visited, they say yes, they may have land, but not as big as the size that we may require. So the region has fewer facilities, and which significantly means they have fewer play areas, fewer people can engage in sport, yet the population in the area is big.
By nature, the western region of Uganda is, despite unpredictable weather, good for altitude training that locals have requested in areas like Ruchiga and Buhweju.
I call upon like the National Council of Sports also to consider us like they have considered Kapchorwa, because we already have some land which is secured. It is in Ruchiga. That land is good, is gazetted, has a land title, so they can come and work on it. Then you can also have athletes who can sell them, who can sell Ekigezi region in the rest of the world. For us, the Ruchiga, we are very strong and we are very competitive. I know we can make it.
The outreach climaxes on Friday with a visits to Mbarara, Hoima and Kampala. John Barnes, Sentamo, UBC News.
Well, UBC News tonight has come to an end, but do join us for our second edition at 10 o'clock. I'm Lauryn Masika Kazimoto and my colleague Elizabeth Nakakoni. We'll see you at 10.